Folks, we have a new toy in the shop. Not this one. I wish it was this one, but it's not. It's this one. This is a Aqua Blast 1215 wet blaster. We have been trying to get this machine probably since the shop opened. It was never in the budget. I have been really trying to find a budget for it because we spent so much time in the shop cleaning parts, and for the most part not successfully because they just don't look good. When you get pitting on aluminum parts, they just look horrible no matter what you do to them. But not with this machine. I am so happy that we have this. And sorry you hear the water running in the back. It's actually the machine. I'll tell you what that is in a bit. Super excited about this. Full disclosure, they are not sponsors. They were nice folks. They gave us a discount. So if you could do the review, that would be great if you like it. If not, we move on with life. So love this machine. This is a really cool machine, but there were some issues with it, which we're going to talk about to keep them honest and keep things fair. First, let's talk about the good part. This is a wet sandblaster. So usually when you use a sandblaster, we had a little cabinet blaster, the dust and the mess, and it just leaves a very horrendous finish. Doesn't look good, but it cleans pretty good, but it's very messy. This uses water. It kind of creates a slurry or something. Don't quote me on this stuff. I don't know how this exactly works, but it does magic. That's what I know. So you have water mixed with the media, so you don't have the dust. There's no dust. That vent is all there is, and that vent kind of vents to the shop. It's not really a vent because there's no dust. Let's check it out. We got the big size because there was a much smaller size because we actually clean engines sometimes or cylinder heads. We need something pretty big, so this fits the bill perfectly. It is a massive machine. You see the pallet for it sitting right there. I mean, when this thing showed up, it was so difficult to get it off the pallet onto here. They did put these very nice forklift areas where you can lift it off, but the thing is heavy, very heavy and very heavy duty. I mean, the construction on this is second to none. Usually you buy a machine, it's expensive. It's like, they could have done this better. They could have done that better. This thing is just unbelievable how nicely built it is. Did have some issues, like I told you, we'll talk about them. That's kind of the only part. But before we talk about them, if you've never seen this machine, there's a lot of, you see it on YouTube. Some shops will have them. I don't think it's a DIY machine because unless you want to, I feel like my left kidney have left the chat, but this is the machine. Let's get a part working on this LS400. This is actually a scrap part. This is a bearing that is loose, makes all kinds of noise. So you're not supposed to spray stuff with open bearings. There are limitations to this machine because media will get in here and start wear. But since this is scrap, I want you to look at how this part looks. I mean, no matter what I clean here, it will never look nice. It has pitting, it has oil, it has grime. Well, if I want to clean this to an acceptable look, I'll probably spend an hour, hour and a half trying to clean this and spend so much cleaner and so much effort. Well, let's give this one a shot. Very simple operation. Machine's already on. Just gonna go in here. And we're gonna go for it. That's the part cleaned. You see it through the screen. Doesn't look like it's very clean. That's because you actually gotta rinse. Because if you see all around, like I'm gonna spray this, see all that media coming down? You gotta actually clean the media off the walls. So I'm gonna do that real quick. We'll wash our part and we'll get it out and we'll see it up close. Now that we cleaned the cabinet, we're gonna clean our part. Let's take this part out. We're gonna dry it, and then we'll look at the final result. Can you believe that with a few minutes, this is how this part looks like? Now, these bumps that you see, it's actually in the casting of this part. So when this part was new, it looked like this. Unbelievable that in a few minutes, I can get, now I missed a bunch of spots. This is just for demo, but look at this. I will never be able, ever, to clean a part by hand or with a parts cleaner or with a parts washer or whatever and make it look like that. And not fill my entire shop with smoke, or not smoke, like dust from sandblaster. Here's another piece that we cleaned earlier. This is the thermostat housing for this LS400. And look at this finish. It's a very smooth finish here. Again, this part looked like that before we started. It's just unbelievable. And to compare it, I'll show you this. These are new water pumps. I just wanted to compare the finish. That's a brand new water pump from the factory. It's the same finish. Well, actually, you fell for it. This is an old water pump. That used to look like that as well. So basically, if you're rebuilding this, you can make it look like this, which is unbelievable. This looks like a brand new water pump. Same thing with the one next to it here. We've been testing this a little bit. Love this machine. I mean, it is really good at what it does, and the best part is the build quality is really there. Let's walk you through it. So you have your pressure control. You're supposed to be spraying at a specific pressure here. You do have your control here. This does have a heater. If you operate this in very cold climate, you can heat up the water and heat up everything. So when you're spraying with warm water. We're not using that because we are air conditioned here, or climate controlled, if you would. I love the build quality. I mean, look at all the seams. You don't see stuff that look horrible. The paint's really heavy duty. This was an option, the air gun. And the other option that we got with this is the closed loop system. And that's what's been making a lot of noise. So here is the problem. You're spraying with this machine. You're spraying grease and oil and all kinds of stuff. Well, that water that got contaminated with this stuff, where are you going to take it? You're just going to dump it down the drain? You can't do that. There is regulations, folks. And this is what automotive shops kind of, they have to follow this stuff, because that oil is eventually going to end up in our ecosystem and in our drinking water, and that's not good. So every shop will have something called a triple basin. I am no plumber. If you are a plumber, you probably know what I'm talking about a lot more than I do, but something very expensive called a triple basin, which separates oil and fuel from the water that's actually going into the sewer, and then that dries up, turns into a gunk, and then you have to clean it every so often as they get filled up. Well, this water, you can't really put it in any drain. You have a drain right there. I can get water and drain to it, but that's not compliant. So the best thing about the closed loop system is the water you rinse with, it's here in this little tank. It cycles the water through, has a couple filters. So there's this paper filter here. It's actually filtering, and all this stuff would have ended up in the water that me and you drink eventually. I know it doesn't sound very pleasant, but that's how this works. But this filter catches the big stuff. That little filter, which is now already filling up with stuff, cleans up the water that you're rinsing with, and it cycles. And then that water comes down, gets filtered, and when you use that hose, it goes through that other filter into the machine. Very cool. But what's more cool is, so this machine runs on, of course, I think 220 to 230, whatever you want to call it. But it's three-phase, and they have an option for single phase. We don't have three-phase in this particular building. So they do give you an inverter. Inverter comes right here. But here's the best part. You know, some folks will say, well, it's just a machine that takes water and media and just blasts it at full pressure with air pressure. I want to show you something. It is a little bit more than that, because when I saw this part, I was in shock. What exactly is this? It's a lot more complicated than that, because there is a lot of timers and stuff that for the drain valve, and there's an air pump here. There's a lot going on in this machine. This is where we had issues with. If you read the manual, and this is full honesty in case you are a shop owner and you are looking at buying one of these, full honesty, I will say one thing. The company, while they are great at the main thing, you know what? I have a saying, we're not marrying them, we're buying their product, and their product is wonderful. I mean, the quality of this thing is unbelievable. But their support, and their manual, installation manual, could be better. I'll have to say that, because the truth have to be said, and I already shared that feedback with them, because they're awesome people, and they make a machine like this. They deserve every single credit and respect. But here's what we ended up having, in case you're buying one of these in the US single phase. So the manual says if you have three-phase, it's 32 amp circuit. If you have single phase, it's 16 amp circuit. Now that right there doesn't make sense, but we're gonna go with it because that's what the manual says. It came with the machine. We are on a 20 amp circuit here. Electrician was not convinced. I told him, well, that's what the book says. I mean, we'll run and see what happens. We're on a 20 amp circuit. Now we're talking, we ran new pipe, new everything, ran it. Actually, I have that. Now I have an extra 220 outlet behind the machine because that's what we ran here to operate it. Run the machine, ran great, super excited. I'm like, let's try my first part. Within 30, 40 seconds, breaker went off. Electrician was still here. He was like, I knew this was going to happen. Something is off. How come this motor is not, something is not right. 16 amps is not right. He measures the amperage. This thing is drawing 43 amps. 43 amps. Far cry from 16 amps. That's kind of dangerous. I thought initially, see, I gave the benefit of the doubt because, I mean, it says it in the book very clearly. Maybe I overloaded the machine with media. I took some media out. We made sure it was the right level, even though it was. But maybe something is dragging on the motor. No, 42 amps, and I think 42.7 amp on the dot, continuous, non-stop, then it trips the breaker. I contact the company again. I got an email, oh yes, sorry for your electrical needs. You actually need a 50 amp breaker. Well, that would have been nice to know before I paid my electrician to run all the wires, and now my panel is full. It was a giant thing to get it wired up. If I knew that from the get-go, while the machine was still in transport here, I would have gotten that taken care of. Wish they would be a little bit more on the manual. Their manual is really lackluster. I have to say that. You are better off going watching YouTube videos of others using this machine than reading the manual. It just tells you nothing. I did not even know how to operate this. Simple as it is. I'm like, how do I turn it on so I can spray? Is there a second button? Is there something? In case you're watching and you're buying one of these machines, just twist the nozzle and start spraying. Just so you know that. Because that literally, all I can think of was, how do you operate this? I don't know. It just says nothing about it in the instruction manual. Talks about options in the manual, talks about a few things that are important, but doesn't talk about the basic operation for real. I've never used this machine. I don't know. This is the only part that's going into it, but honestly, that is a small part because once you get past the initial hurdle of setting it up and going, it is such a good machine. I mean, this thing will save us so much time, which is something that we're not going to just have this machine here, use it in the shop, and that's it. That's something we're going to share with you. You're a DIYer, you're not going to go buy a machine like that. You can buy a little sandblaster to clean your parts. They're going to look horrible and everything. So we're actually going to start offering a service. If you are in our local area, you have aluminum parts, pending that we approve that this is not going to damage them. This strips paint immediately, so anything painted, no. Anything with bearings, no. Aluminum parts, you want them cleaned, we actually offer this service. Usually we only work with Toyota, Lexus, but in this case, I'm just cleaning the part. So any part that is approved, we're good. This is a service we're going to start offering. We are located in Homer Glen, Illinois. Some of you always get surprised that we're in Illinois. We are in Illinois. We are in Homer Glen. That's a suburb of Chicago. Super excited about this machine. I can already see how much time it's going to save us. We're already cleaning the valve cover. We're going at it. We're going all kinds of stuff. So, folks, I have to say one thing. We started this channel a long time ago, me and Mrs. Car Care Nut, and I never, ever thought we were going to be standing right here next to this machine talking about the shop. It's still, every day is like, every day there's a moment or two where I think, is this even happening? This is amazing where we have come. But that's all thanks to you guys. So as I share this new blessing in the shop, I want to thank you for watching the channel, for believing in us, for encouraging us, for kind of following through our journey from when I started in my garage to this shop, to the expansion of this shop, and another expansion coming, actually. This was the part from the beginning that we wanted to talk about. But folks, this is a joyous moment for me, and I feel like I should share it with you because you guys have been along for the entire journey, and thank you so much for watching the channel. Thank you for supporting us, and if you need any parts washed or cleaned, we've got your back. Folks, I hope this video was helpful and informative. I hope you learned something new. If you like it, consider giving it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, consider subscribing to the channel. Check out some other videos. Until the next video, folks, may the Lord bless you and keep you, and you have yourself a wonderful day.